Au début, les genoux sont chancelants et les chevilles désorientées par le sol instable sous les pieds. Un ami se joint et rapidement ça devient une affaire de famille. C'est une histoire de premiers coups de patin et d'étangs gelés. Après les lames, vient un chandail, puis une ambition. Les plus chanceux voient des images et entendent la narration de leurs rêves, particulièrement lorsqu'ils sont seuls. Éventuellement, un bâton et une rondelle font leur apparition et la complexité s'accroît. Puis, tout d'un coup, il y a décollage avec force et précision. S'ensuit l'imitation, la répétition et oui, un peu d'improvisation. Paul Byron a effectué ses premières enjambées sur une patinoire extérieure de la capitale nationale. Désormais à quelques heures d'Ottawa, le numéro 41 des Canadiens et sa conjointe Sarah empruntent le même chemin que Paul avait suivi au début des années 90. L'objectif n'est pas nécessairement de semer la graine qui fera germer une carrière dans la Ligue nationale. C'est de vaincre le froid et le climat canadien avec une paire de lames, un câlin et un foulard.
On s'est rencontrés à Gatineau. Et on est allés au cégep ensemble. La première année, lui, il vivait à Portland, Maine. Je suis allée le rejoindre pour 3 mois. L'année d'après, il a été changé à Calgary.
Ça, c'est une surprise qui vient avec notre profession. Un jour, tu peux être à une ville avec une maison, des coéquipiers que tu aimes beaucoup, et l'autre jour, tu es à différentes places. Ça, c'est les sacrifices que nous faisons tous les jours.
Ma famille, c'était vraiment des fans des Canadiens. Tu sais, on a vécu sur la Rive-Sud pendant 10 ans de temps. Elle
était tellement contente. Quand j'ai dit, elle n'a même pas pensé que c'était vrai. C'est comme un rêve pour nous. Et, elle a beaucoup de familles ici, beaucoup de familles proches à Thetford aussi. Alors, tout le monde nous regarde maintenant et c'est un blessing pour ma famille.
Les enfants, eux autres, ils adorent le hockey. Fait qu'on va à tous les games. Ma famille, mon frère surtout, il vient à chaque match. Let's catch up to them. Les journées de congé, comme en fin de semaine, on avait un souper, toutes les conjointes ensemble, c'était vraiment le fun. C'est comme une deuxième famille. Quand ils sont partis sur la route, je me dépends beaucoup sur eux pour faire des sorties avec les enfants, faire des soupers.
Quand Sarah dit on va avoir un enfant, on était très contente pour avoir un enfant. C'était quelque chose de très bon pour nous. Et, on a toujours parlé, si on avait des enfants, on voulait des ensembles très proches en âge. Et je pense que c'était une très bonne décision pour nous parce qu'on voit encore maintenant qu'ils sont très proches. Ils jouent ensemble tous les jours. Come on, kick up feet. Yeah, there you go. Push. Mes premiers coups de patin, j'étais à 3 ans. Mon père amenait sur la glace dehors comme ça. J'avais une chaise et mon père m'amenait devant la télévision. On regardait tous les games des Canadiens, des Leafs. Alors, quand j'étais très jeune, je voulais jouer au hockey. C'est la seule chose que je voulais faire. Et quand j'étais sur la glace, c'était quelque chose qui était tellement bon à très jeune âge. Et, j'ai continué à jouer beaucoup et à travailler fort. S'il veut jouer au hockey, je voulais être là pour lui. C'est quelque chose de très spécial à voir ton fils jouer. Et, je veux qu'il ait de fun et s'il veut jouer, je vais rentrer au hockey. Quand il rentre à l'arena, il toujours veut jouer au hockey, il toujours parle de mettre le hockey sur la télé. Il veut jouer aux maisons aussi, alors je pense qu'on a un joueur de hockey dans notre maison. Oui, deux joueurs.
What do you do when Daddy scores?
I like her.
What do you say? Go, Daddy!
This is PK. The older brother in his backyard is playing hockey. This is on the day you were born.
PK was still in Pampers, and we had him on the ice. And he doesn't like when I talk about it, but I remember his first pair of skates were his sister's white skates.
Mike was always trying to compete with Zachary, the older brother. But it was difficult because the age discrepancy is huge. So they stuck him in the net like most big brothers do, and they started pelting with tennis balls in the driveway.
The reason that Kerry got into hockey, I guess, was because I played hockey. And I was drafted by the Flyers, but I guess I just wasn't good enough. And so I loved the game, and I wanted to give that opportunity to Carrie to do it. But the restriction was that as Carrie was growing up, we lived in such a remote community, but we made do in that area by building an outdoor rink. And Carrie and I spent hours and hours out on the outdoor rink just playing together.
I was part of the team that won the last World Championship for the Detroit Tigers in 1984. I told the kids, I said, look, I can take care of all the baseball. I'll coach your teams. I'll give you, all the instruction you need and everything. But if we're going to live in Michigan, you're going to need to learn how to play hockey. I don't know anything to tell you. So I just got them right into power skating and learn to check and just the whole things that, just getting them introduced to everything and let them take off with it.
Max started skating when he was around 4 or 5 years old. He was taken to the local rink, and he took a liking towards the skating, and I took him to some formal skating classes, and he made his first team when he was 5.5 years old. He didn't see a lot of ice during that season. I think he had 1 goal, but he had a lot of fun, and he just loved it. The practice, the games, we did not want to deny him that opportunity.
Nathan, il a vu beaucoup de hockey quand il était jeune. Même dans la maison, il avait ses patins dans ses pieds à tous les jours.
He knew that I played hockey as a young man, and we took him out once to really get the skating down, really. The second time, he was pretty much on his own. He couldn't stop, but he didn't want any more help. He was playing soccer at the time, but we needed other outlets to kind of tire him out at the end of the day because he was very rambunctious, to say the least.
My wife and I decided that I would make a call to the Minor Hockey Association in Williams Lake, BC, and ask if they had any restrictions as far as distance that you lived from the city or the community where. And they said, well, where do you live? And I said, Anaheim Lake. They said, Anaheim Lake? That's a long ways away, 320 kilometers away. For the games, you can't miss. And I said, oh, he'll be there. I just wanted him to have the opportunity to play the game. And this turned out well, but that was never the intention.
We knew and believed that sport would teach them those life skills that we can't teach them by ourselves as parents, because it doesn't matter how good we think we are as parents. It doesn't matter how much we think we know. We're never good enough, and we don't have all the knowledge. So we need that extra parent, I call it. And sports serve that very well for my children today.
Playing multiple sports is really good. You get so specialized in one, and by taking a break from one of them, they kind of help. Certainly the conditioning in hockey helps you in baseball. The hand-eye coordination of, baseball that's involved in hitting a baseball and everything. It translates into, knocking a puck out of the air or something like that. So I think they're very good no matter what sports you play, not just hockey, baseball, but football, basketball, whatever they are. They all help one another. So I encourage everybody to play as many sports as possible until they make that decision on specializing in just one.
At 14, he had to choose between hockey and soccer. He was playing competitive soccer, but hockey was always something that he was leaning towards.
I didn't know a lot about hockey. I grew up in Jamaica playing cricket, and I was a goalie in football, but a good friend of mine said, if you want your child to make it in hockey, have him or her play defense. And I've never forgotten that, because I would put him into the defenseman hockey school so he could work on his backward skating, his ability to transition, his edges, and so on.
I think it's good that they can play, especially at a young age, and learn both. Learn what the forwards are doing, but also what the defense do, because they have to interact very well during the course of a game.
Il jouait en avant jusqu'au Pee-Wee, c'est moi qui le coachais au Pee-Wee 3A, puis il y avait une game qu'il voulait pas trop jouer, il voulait pas patiner, so on l'a mis aux défenses, il a compté 3 buts, on l'a laissé là pour un autre game, il avait compté 2 buts encore, c'est comme ça qu'il est devenu un défenseur.
Sports to me was sort of a protective shield from all the bad stuff that can happen with kids nowadays. So, and I have a kind of a fear because I see that all the time in my job. I see kids get ruined and it's awful. So for me, it was a saving grace.
There are other things that your children could be doing and it not cost you a cent, but you won't sleep well at night.
La séquence en dents de scie se poursuit. P.K. Subban marque du centre de la patinoire, mais il est envoyé au purgatoire pour avoir nargué Dubinsky. Columbus prend alors son envol et enfile avec finesse 5 buts dans la victoire incluant le tour du chapeau de Cam Atkinson, qui a obtenu la 2e étoile de la semaine dans la LNH. Cette année, la campagne Cause pour la cause de Bell a fracassé des records de communication avec 125 915 295 appels, textos, tweets et publications partagées. Plus de 6 millions de dollars ont été amassés pour la santé mentale au pays.
C'est la soirée de la santé mentale. Nous, on profite de cette occasion-là pour passer du temps avec certains de nos usagers. Et aujourd'hui, c'est une opportunité pour eux de combattre la stigmatisation, mais aussi de passer un message clair que leur établissement passe par des journées comme celle-là où ils sont complètement intégrés au niveau social. C'est très significatif, une soirée comme celle-ci pour eux, parce qu'encore une fois, ça leur permet de se sentir complètement intégrés dans la société, malgré qu'ils sont affligés de maladies mentales.
Let's go. Come on. Let's go. Come on.
De retour sur la patinoire, les déboires perdurent. Les Canadiens toucheront des adversaires et des poteaux. Mais ce sont les Blue Jackets qui triomphent encore.
Here we go! Come on! Yeah, Rosie! But if I come behind you, you're gonna drop it? Yeah. That's what I want. Because then I can kind of pick him for you. Yeah, support guy. What, flash? Maybe, guys, are up. What are you looking at? Subi as a single defenseman is going to support both guys.
Dans la loge ce soir, on retrouve 4 vétérans canadiens, des vétérans qui ont fait des missions à travers le monde. Les gars, quand ils sont arrivés dans la loge, ils étaient comme des petits garçons. Ils se demandent même, en fait, pourquoi ils méritent d'être ici, parce qu'ils ont fait d'énormes sacrifices, puis on est pas mal fiers d'eux, puis ils le méritent pleinement.
Oh, boys, let's go here, let's go here. Come on, boy. Come on, here we go. Come on, Barnett. Push, Nico! Push!
Un projectile de la pointe touche Max Pacioretty. Le capitaine dépose ses armes et ne reviendra pas au jeu.
As soon as he makes that step towards the middle with you, you want to keep going. Okay.
Let's go, boys, it's coming. It's coming. Let's go. Let him find it, boys. Let's go. Ricky, Gally. No.
Comment expliquer l'inexplicable? Les Canadiens perdent un deuxième match de suite aux mains des Blue Jackets et quittent pour la pause du match des étoiles, habités par un lourd sentiment d'incertitude. Pourquoi la rondelle bondit-elle par-dessus nos bâtons, mais pas les leurs? Comment se fait-il que la sueur ne se transforme plus instantanément en victoire, comme elle le faisait il n'y a pas si longtemps? Pourquoi nos efforts ne rapportent plus comme avant? Pourquoi?
Allô? Ça va bien? Ouais.
Et la raison pour laquelle on est ici, c'est parce qu'on a des jeunes de résidence qui appartiennent à l'hôpital Rivière-des-Prairies. C'est des jeunes qui ont des problèmes de santé mentale. Rencontrer David Desharnais, pour eux autres, c'est quelque chose de spécial. Hein. Ils n'ont pas accès à des personnes qui sont connues. Ils sont toujours avec nous autres. C'est que ça fait du bien de voir des gens qui voient la télévision puis qui se rendent compte qu'ils peuvent venir leur serrer la main. Pour eux autres, ça fait vraiment une grosse différence.
Vous perdez souvent? On perd souvent. Mais c'est pas grave, hein? Faut rester positif quand même.
Aujourd'hui, j'ai vu David Desharnais. Il avait l'air quand même dans un bon état, puis il a bien joué aussi. Fait que je suis vraiment content là, de ça.
Non, je sais pas. Je sais que c'est dur. Ouais, c'est dur, mais on lâchera pas. Bonne chance pour la reste. Merci beaucoup, c'est gentil.
Un par un, les joueurs quittent le vestiaire. Les têtes et les âmes sont atterrées. Est-ce qu'une pause altérera le vent dominant et soulèvera les mentons de nouveau? Montréal se demande. Lors du voyage annuel père-fils, 24 CH demandaient au papa de nous raconter les premiers coups de patin de leur enfant.
I was able to manage my work schedule through myself, and I had some people doing some of the things for me. But it was a trade-off, you know. And it wasn't like he's my meal ticket. It was just like, this is what he's willing to work hard on and off the ice, well, we're willing to support him. And many of these tournaments, I brought my daughters with us. It was like a family affair.
During his minor hockey days, I never thought of it as a sacrifice. I think that the folks that really make the sacrifices are the siblings. If your siblings aren't playing high-end, competitive, they kind of take a back seat, and they are the ones who really make the true sacrifice.
Moi, comme entraîneur, je travaillais beaucoup dans les fins de semaine. So, c'est sûr que ma femme, Carmen, il fallait qu'elle voyage aux pratiques, aux tournois, aux games. So, c'est sûr qu'elle a fait beaucoup de sacrifices.
I don't think the kids realize it along the way. And I don't think you really realize it till you're a parent of your own kids, what kind of sacrifices people make. But as they get older, I think they appreciate that.
We were tired, we were stressed, and we were often rushed. And we never had enough money. I always say our budget was like a large pizza. It didn't matter how I sliced it, it still remained the same. But you know what? You know, the kids through that learned sacrifices. They learned about perseverance. They learned that, you know what? We don't always have the money, but you know, we found a way. That's sacrifice.
For me, it wasn't a sacrifice. It was time well spent, and I wouldn't trade a minute of it for anything. I think the foundation of our closeness were those days when we spent all those hours together traveling, and we learned a lot about each other, and we both learned that we don't talk very much, either one of us, and so I think that's why we're comfortable in each other's presence, and we don't have to say much.
We never spoke of, you know, you're going to be a professional hockey player or a professional soccer player, because those are goals of parents. Those are not goals of children. So if this is your goal, then that's your goal. You have to strive for it. I cannot push you any harder than you're pushing yourself. You know what you want to do, so go and do it.
I've never put the pressure on Kerry myself to play. Even as a young boy, I just made sure that if he didn't want to play, he didn't have to play. And there's been times when I had to tell him, you know, don't give up because of this. But I never made it me living my life through him.
Have them find that thing they love to do, and then help them to work to become the best they're able to be at it. And that will give them an edge in life. They might not make the Olympics, but you know what? You're setting them up for make it in life. Like I wanted to play in the NBA, and I realized, oh, geez, you know, it's not going to happen. So I found another passion. It became education. So in life, you know, you can't just have one dream. When one door closes, another door opens. And that's to be your mindset. There are no guarantees in life. That's another thing. Well, there are death and taxes, and then I also say your potential. But, you know, there's no guarantee you're going to fulfill your dream. So there has to be something else. That's what life is all about.
Je suis pas sûr qu'il y avait un plan B parce qu'il n'aimait pas l'école trop tôt. J'attendais sa mère lui dire de faire ses devoirs à tous les soirs. So, je pensais pas que l'école, c'était number one sur sa liste, comme on dit. Là, je sais pas vraiment là, quoi qu'il aurait fait s'il n'aurait pas été un joueur de hockey.
The plan B would have been after major junior, you would go to a university. And as you get going through your major junior career, you kind of see how high we end up in the draft. And then from there, you know, if you're sent back to junior, you still got that in your back pocket. We made sure we kind of covered those bases and made sure that the rest is up to you. If this is what you want to do, you know, he was never pushed, but I believe professional athletes have to push themselves.
I was just happy that he had a Princeton degree. I was adamant about that a Princeton degree is priceless. You know, concussion-wise or knee-wise, you know, you can lose that in a second and you're done. But the Princeton education's a lifetime. So I thought that was a good investment.
You can be a great hockey player, but you still have to make it through life. And working hard to become this great hockey player sets you up for life if you're willing to learn the lessons of life. Because I always say life is the best teacher.
I don't talk to Jeff that often, and I've always been that way. I like to give him his space and give him his room to figure it out. If you need something, he'll call me, you know, and when we do talk, I think it's more about, hey, your brother's doing this back in Michigan, and I still coach baseball, so it's, hey, you know, this team is doing this, just to give him some outside information and let him, you know, take a brief little bit away from hockey.
I like to actually come to Montreal when they don't play a lot so that we can hang out, and I think he feels fairly relaxed when I'm around, and I try to, you know, I don't want to weigh him down with more talk about hockey. We don't talk necessarily about coaches or anything like that. We talk some about the game and, you know, how Carey's playing, and I don't try to coach him. If he wants to talk about hockey, that's great, but if he doesn't, then we just don't. We'll talk about anything else.
On se parle des fois après des games. Quand il était plus jeune, je pense qu'on se parlait un petit peu plus, tu sais, qu'il était dans la Ligue américaine, il se faisait monter, il se faisait descendre. Je pense que c'était un petit peu plus dur pour lui à comprendre pourquoi moi, tu sais, des fois c'est difficile pour un jeune joueur, mais c'est sûr que après les games, j'appelle pas Nathan pour dire hey, t'aurais dû faire ça, t'aurais dû faire ça. C'est pour ça qu'il y a des entraîneurs. C'est sûr que la direction des entraîneurs, ils vont l'aider beaucoup. Mais s'il y a des questions, des fois, on se parle un peu de ça.
Sometimes things will happen during the game, and maybe in the first period. So I will text him at that time. I know his phone's off. I know he's not going to see it till the end of the game, but I text him at that time so I don't forget. Because there are times where I would go back and say, well, you know, I remember, you know, this play in the first, and he's like, no, it wasn't me, it was someone else. So I said, okay, I'm gonna trick him now, and I'm gonna start texting him in the first, and then he'll reply. But if I don't send anything throughout the game, once he's done, he'll text, you know, and say, big win, good game, what'd you think?
He will text me, or I'll text him, but we'll always talk after the game. So I want to have a positive result. You know what I mean? If he didn't have a great game, I'll say something to lift him. If he had a pretty good game, I still want to be realistic in my feedback to him. Because I never want, I don't know what the coaches are saying to the players, and I don't want to contradict them or plant the wrong seed in PK that will affect the way he plays. You know what I mean? You have to be very professional and say what you think is best, not just for your child, but for everything that's around him.
If you had asked me 5 years ago, would I be in the Montreal Canadiens dressing room, I would tell you, why would I do that? Why would I want to do that? You know, being a Boston guy, you know, and then I see the C and the, it's really, to me, it's Canada's team, the national team. It deserves a lot of respect. So I can't believe it. I still can't believe it. Patrick Roy, Ken Dryden, and my son's in the room. So he amazes me and my son.
I don't know all of the history of the Canadiens other than, you know, some of the names certainly, you know, Yvon Cournoyer, you know, Guy Lafleur, some of those kind of names. But It's always the logo. You know, I always thought the logo and the H. You know, in the C. What is the H? The Habs, and what is the Habs? And you know, and never really delved into it too much until Jeff was traded. And that's exactly the way I thought was. This is like the history of the New York Yankees. Only I experienced that personally, that Yankee Stadium and that history, and know all about that. But it was overwhelming, you know, because it was so new and so fresh, you know, because it was a different sport that I didn't know anything about. And it just was like, I like to say, a kid in a candy store, and I'm still learning. I'm still learning the history, still learning about Montreal, still learning about Quebec, and I've got hopefully a lot of time to learn.
I'm more than a fan now because my son plays for the team, but I've suffered the downs and I've lived the highs with the team, and like any fan, you know, we want them to win the Stanley Cup every year, and when they would lose games, I'm watching them, I would lose too, you know, that feeling of loss. And I know PK is very happy, but he'll be happier once we win the Stanley Cup. But no one can convince me that we're not on our way. And I don't know when it's going to happen. PK did say that on his draft day that he wants to deliver a Stanley Cup to Montreal. He did say that. And when PK speaks, guess what? I listen.
Les premiers coups de patin ne sont pas uniquement pour les enfants sur des patinoires extérieures. Piquet Souban, qui souhaite immortaliser le numéro 76 des Canadiens de Montréal, se rend à Nashville pour sa première sélection officielle au match des étoiles.